Okay, I just want to mute the volume there. All right, cool. All right, cool, guys. Yay, I got it to go on there. Okay, Jenny. Scarlett is chewing on her bone. Zuki's just sleeping and ignoring me. So now that we've shared what our dogs are doing, then Zuki looked over and was like, "Are you talking about me?" So, sorry, Zuki. Yes, I am talking about you. Okay, so thanks everyone for coming here. So today we're going to discuss the book Haben, which is autobiography, and it's a memoir about Haben Girma's life. And in case anyone doesn't know who she is, Haben Girma is the first deafblind woman that graduated Harvard Law School, and she talks about accessibility, and she's just a fantastic person. She's worked a lot on making online, like creating ADA resource for online businesses, and have them also recognize the ADA's, the ADA's regulations on their businesses. So I want to say first that I got the permission from Hachette Publishing to play this excerpt of Haben Girma's book. And if you don't have the book, please get it, because it's really great. Not only is it a great story about a first-generation immigrant, but a person that is disabled, and that, worked her way through life and, ended up becoming a lawyer. So it's a really great story, and I do suggest everyone read it. And go buy it. It's in stores today. It's in paperback and hardcover, and it's in all stores. And hopefully I was talking to Marguerite. Hopefully libraries will have the audiobook as well as the printed book available for people to get this book. So thanks everyone for being here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to play an excerpt from Haben Girma's book. It's chapter 19, and it's called Alaska Gives... Oh, gosh. I had it all set up, but now it's on chapter 18 for some reason, but that's okay. I'll find chapter 19 real quick. So it's chapter 19. It's called Alaska Gives Me the Cold, Harsh Truth. And it's about an experience she had with employment. And then I'd like, all of us here to talk about our experiences with employment. And then maybe we can talk about some solutions for discrimination, discrimination of people that have disabilities in the workplace. If we have time to do that. I mean, we might get caught up in sharing our experiences, so we'll see what happens. So I'm going to share the screen now. I will do this, optimize for video clip, share.
Chapter 19. Alaska Gives Me the Cold, Harsh Truth. Juneau, Alaska, summer 2008. We shouldn't have hired you. The manager's words sent a bucket of glacier water dripping down my back. I flew to Juneau, Alaska, right after my second year of college, thinking I had this cool job leading tours of the Capitol building. The recruiters knew about my deafness, and we agreed I would receive questions and comments during the tours through my assistive technology. They knew about my racial status. I checked the box for African American on the application. There was just one thing they didn't know until I arrived at the Capitol. When I walked in for orientation this morning, the manager pulled me aside. The manager's cramped office feels suffocating. We sit across from each other with our knees almost touching. My back straightens as I prepare to speak. Are you telling me to leave because I'm blind? No, it's because you're from California. These jobs are supposed to go to Alaskan residents. My stomach drops. I sit there, speechless, until the shock shifts to injustice. The paperwork showed that I'm from California. We even did the interview over the phone because I don't live here. You've known that for weeks. Why did you hire me if the position was only for Alaskans? We made a mistake. I'm sorry. Outside, a late rain drizzles over Juneau. The cold seeps through my coat, feeding the fear rising in the pit of my stomach. No one will hire me. Gordon has a job working for a tour company. His sister works for another tour company. His brother supervises a summer youth program. Gordon's father leads wilderness and wildlife photography tours. A family friend also staying at the house works with at-risk youth. Lori, Gordon's mom, teaches music. Everyone has a job except me. Lori rescues me from the Capitol building, denouncing their dismissal the whole drive home. You'll find a better job, Haben. Juneau has lots of summer jobs. I nod, too dejected to speak. When we arrive at the cozy house in the woods, I head straight to the computer. Craigslist has numerous job openings. Lori was right. After the government, the tourism industry is the second largest employer in Juneau. Over 1 million tourists visit each summer for the city's spectacular scenery, abundance of wildlife, and majestic Mendenhall Glacier. Many employers turn to the lower 48 to fill their summer openings. Of course, the ads don't mention Juneau's persistent precipitation. Over the next weeks, I send out dozens of applications, focusing on those that match my strengths in public speaking. Since helping to build a school in Mali, I've logged in numerous hours speaking to audiences big and small. My experience impressed the Capitol building recruiters enough to choose me over Alaskans, at least until I walked in with a white cane. The application leads to interviews. The interviews lead to rejections. Back on Craigslist, I broaden my search, responding to ads that seek people with strong reading, writing, or analytical skills. The pattern continues. Submit an application, brave an interview, then face a rejection. I change my strategy, responding to nearly all the ads, shelving gift stores, baking cakes, folding laundry and hotels. Rejection, rejection, rejection. Disability professionals warned me, work hard or you'll never find employment. Around 70% of blind people are unemployed. I studied hard in school, graduating high school as valedictorian. I spent a summer sharpening my independent skills at the Louisiana Center for the Blind. My college GPA is excellent. I even have volunteer work experience on my resume. The 70% unemployment rate still managed to claim me, leaving me jobless in Jobville, Alaska. When you do everything right and society stomps on you over and over, it creates a piercing, gut-twisting pain. It causes you to question the conventional wisdom that a person who works hard will always overcome obstacles. Gordon offers encouragement, but I don't want to hear it. He drummed up Alaska as the land of long summer days where the sun doesn't set until 10 p.m. He promised that I'd find a summer job here. Instead, I find employment discrimination. Blindness is just the lack of sight, but people inflate the disability to an absurd degree. They assume incompetence, intellectual challenges, and an inability to contribute with alternative techniques. This is decades of cultural stories perpetuating the idea that people with disabilities are inferior to the non-disabled. Wherever I go, regardless of how hard I work, I keep encountering ableism. Lori bakes chocolate macaroons. The alluring aroma of warm chocolate pulls me away from the computer, just for a spell. While everyone else is at work, she invites me on a hike along the waterfalls of the steep Perseverance Trail. feeling the sun on my face as I breathe in the smells of a mountain creek rushing through grass and trees helps me forget that I'm an unemployed failure, possibly forever. Then Lori recommends me to her friend Rachel, the manager of a local gym. Rachel reviews my resume, interviews me, and hires me as a part-time front desk clerk. On our tour of the gym, Rachel teaches me how to use the machines, clean up the changing rooms, and manage the cash register. My white cane doesn't faze her at all. Whether I use sight or a non-visual technique matters less than whether I get the job done. One day a woman walks up to the front desk. "Hi, I'm trying to use a treadmill, but it's not working." "I'll take a look. Which one?" I follow her to a row of treadmills. She stops by the second machine. Setting my cane down, I step up to the machine and press the on button. Nothing. I try the other buttons on the panel. Nothing. Using both hands, I search the machine from top to bottom. Along the base, I find a switch. When I flick it, the treadmill whirs to life. "Oh my God, thank you! That was amazing! I didn't even see that switch," she says. My lips turn up in a playful grin. I didn't see it either.
Okay, so let me stop sharing. So yeah, that was I really liked that chapter because I just thought one of the things I love. Oh gosh, let me turn on my video here. Sorry about that, guys. One of the things I love about Haben Girma's the autobiography is she does come across so many obstacles as a disabled person, being deaf and blind, but I don't know, she has such uh, I don't know, just a unique way of looking at things, and that's why I love that chapter. One, because she went there, she was discriminated, she didn't get her job. Second, she was dejected, and it was a community. It was like the connections her friends, and her friends' family had to the community that helped her get the job. And then when she got the job, she was actually able to help a sighted person figure out this machine that they couldn't figure out. So, and I don't know, I just thought the story was wonderful. I guess I'll just start with my experience of disability. I've had jobs, and, people like say, due to my chronic pain, it's hard for me to go into physically a job all the time. And so I had this employer that was like, it was like a dream. She was like going to accommodate me almost like 100%. But then her son like told her, like, don't do that. If she works from home, she's going to cheat you. So don't let her work from home. And so then I just got a text from this woman basically saying, you don't have a job. And, I was really confused by that because, literally less than 24 hours before, she had told me how she was going to accommodate me. And that went to like, oh, never mind. I take back everything I told you the day before. So for me as a person, I felt I relate to Haben's situation. I felt dejected. I felt like, at that point I was like, forget it. I'm not going to get a job anymore. I'm going to figure out how to make money on my own as an entrepreneur and so on. So that was my experience with that. And I welcome anyone else to share their experiences
Yeah,
as well. Go ahead,
yeah,
Will.
yeah. So like in my early college years, like right before I went into college and right when I went like to college, like before that, I had a hard time getting like a job. Like I got like before going into my freshman year of college, I got denied for every single job that I applied for. And like I get my first job, I'm working actually at the basketball camp that I went to as a kid up in the mountains in Maryland called Coach Wooten's basketball camp. And like I signed up to be a coach, and and like I end up getting put up like to be put as an official, which I still do now. And during that time, like they told me that like I was gonna be um like coaching at some point, and they lied to me. They weren't saying the truth, and there were other colleagues of mine who weren't hustling as reps, and they got to move up to coaching, and they were hard on, I mean, reps, and I felt like they're being favoritism and being discriminatory towards me and putting me more to the back of the bus. That's what I felt um with like during that time, and it caused me to get upset. I feel like I couldn't openly disclose to other people because it's not going to make them, I mean, happy, but like I wanted to speak the truth to these people, and like I got pulled aside by one person for like trying to stand up for my own rights, and we shouldn't be getting in trouble for that. We should be allowed to have the empower and speak up for what we believe in, because otherwise they're not going to learn unless you speak up with the discrimination that us places. And like I'm happy that I got paid the minimum wage, but like I could be and not working in the food, filth, flowers, and filing, where at times people with disabilities are getting paid below the minimum wage. That's the one thing, like we should be thankful that we're getting paid the minimum wage, but we have to fight to end the sub minimum wage for people with disabilities still in our country from the Fair Labor Standards Act. It's not going to go away unless we fight for other people. And Marguerite just put in, I was a look over so many times, call and interviews are worse, and not giving a chance when you don't have no experiences. How can they assume that we can do certain, I mean, jobs? They don't really know the abilities that people have, just reflecting on what Marguerite, I mean, has to say. People can't assume and put us in the sheltered workshop environment because we have disabilities. We should be allowed to have customized employment and do what we want to do based on our needs and bodies. And maybe for some of us, I've been talking to a friend um that that the 9 to 5 workday is not the best for everybody, because that's built on our colonialism and slavery. If you think about it, because in slavery they tried to put people work as hard as they could do, and go to, they survive, and that's part of colonialism, which we still have to change, reflecting on that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Will. Marguerite, do you have anything to add? I mean, I know you wrote in the chat about your experiences, but do you have anything else you would like to say? Go for it. Oh, down there. Oh, you're gonna give it a second. Okay, well, Jenny, was there anything you wanted to share? You don't have to. I'm just asking to be polite.
Hi.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yes, can totally hear you.
I missed some of the beginning of the playback,
Mm-hmm.
and I missed your introduction,
Oh,
Priya.
it's okay. Do you want me to repeat it? I can repeat it. It's no big deal. I just
Yeah.
Haben Girma in this chat playback that I shared. If you listen to most of it, I think you've got pretty much the idea. But she had gone to Alaska for a job she had applied for, and when she got there, they were like, "Oh, you can't have this job. This job is for Alaskans." She felt they weren't giving her the job because she was blind, because she had already told them she was from California. And then I'm not sure when you came in the playback, but she then talked about her struggle of trying to find a job. And then when she did finally find a job at a gym, uh, it was through her friend's sister was how she was able to get the job. And then the last part of that chapter was someone asked her for help because the treadmill wasn't turning on. And she went and felt the treadmill and found a switch at the bottom of the treadmill and flicked it on and was able to get it to turn on. So that was pretty much the summarization of what that chapter was about. And I was just asking for people to share their experiences with discrimination in the workplace that they felt they've faced. And if you'd like to share something, I'd love you to.
Yes, I wasn't sure if you had like if you were guiding the conversation, perhaps. I don't know if you what you had
Well,
said prior to the playback, if
oh yeah,
that might have been.
I just told people about the access needs and stuff like that, like to keep the mics off, and that I didn't really have any rules to this conversation since it's just four of us here. I think we can manage to give each
Okay.
other room. So
Okay, thanks.
yeah, no problem.
Okay, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, no problem.
Um, I
Did,
I reckon. Go ahead.
no, I was just saying, did you want to share any experiences you've had with discrimination in employment as far as a disabled person?
It sounded like that playback was some of it was uh, content. Haben had included in her Crip Camp session. I recollect.
I'm not
I
sure.
have
I don't think I was at that Crip Camp session, but it is from her book, which I, by the way, got permission from the publishers to play it at this meeting. So it's from her book, Haben, the first deafblind
I
woman.
understand. Yeah. So this is what I was sharing was
Oh,
that
okay. I'm
I
sorry.
recognize at least some of that excerpt as materials she had used in her session at Crip Camp
Oh,
last
cool.
year.
Hmm.
So there's that. Um, and so if I'm understanding, she prevailed in securing that job based on that experience or based on where that excerpt left off.
Hmm.
She did.
Yeah, she did. She ended the chapter where someone couldn't turn on a treadmill, they couldn't figure it out. And so she went to a system and she
Yeah.
used her method as a blind
Yeah.
person by touching it and she found it.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I was kind of sort of cliffhanger, not sure if she secured the job at that, just leaving off right there,
She
or
was
was yeah.
she was able to get the job because her friend from undergrad lived in Alaska. So she was, through her family friends, they knew people at the gym. So they probably, I'm guessing they vouched for her as a great employee. And so when she got the job, yeah, she was able to secure it. Like she didn't share any other
Yeah. Okay.
stories at the job besides that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So thought provoking.
Yeah, it is very thought provoking.
So yeah, the um, it's what the this topic brings up um, the labor industry and discrimination in the labor industry, and that crosses um, all industries in life
Hmm.
because the people with a disability are protected in all areas from workplace discrimination, whether that's as an employee or via the employer employee relationship or any contract or any contract agreements. Um, so it's it's definitely kind of just opens that up for me. I am in Oregon and I've never had like workplace. We don't have like sweatshops and or is it called shelter something? Um, there's I've never
Sheltered
encountered that.
workshops.
Um, we've also never had like sub minimum wage. This concept that's never been. I've never encountered it myself personally. Um,
I haven't either, really, but I do know there are
I
disabled people who have. So
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm definitely not trying to tell, I'm not trying to tell everybody about their life right now. I'm just trying to speak on my
Oh
own
yeah, I know.
perspective. I
We're
just want
just
to make that
talking
clear.
here.
Yeah.
I totally understand you're not trying to share every person's
I was
experience.
just, yeah, I'm just sharing my thoughts, and
Yeah, definitely. Please keep
I was,
sharing.
I was about to say that I have had a job working as it was a Y2K, it was some kind of a Y2K specialist, where I wound up being let go before the job was over, and I wasn't given a reason.
Hmm.
Um, and it was kind of suspicious because the the employer uh, needed more applicants, or needed more hirees, um, and so my pay was actually the wrong pay. It was like the wrong rate that was advertised. So what I did was um, I submitted a complaint to the Bureau of Labor and Industry, which that's a government appointed regulating authority, a regulating agency, um, in this state, and I think other states have something along those lines, some of them, but they're there to enforce fair, uh, fair, fair anti-discrimination in the workplace. Um, and I prevailed. It was pretty easy. I had like one complaint, and then I received my check before even knowing like formally what the outcome was, or any decision making process. So I have had that experience. So it's kind of a mixed bag there, where I didn't have the employment, but I did get paid the right amount for the work I did do. Um, so I guess I can put a period on that for now, for flashing back and sharing a little story with some context.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for sharing, Jenny. I really appreciate that. Marguerite has written some stuff in the chat, so I am going to read these. In my earlier years was in shelter workshops. And by that, shelter workshops was, Will had informed us that's what it's called, shelter workshops. They wanted me to help train for deaf blind clients. I don't mind doing it, but not for what they were paying me for. I don't mind doing it, not for what they were paying me for, below minimum wages. So Marguerite, they were paying you below minimum wage for that job. Is that correct? So what Marguerite's saying is she doesn't mind doing that, but she should get paid what other people are getting paid, especially if you're providing information that other people don't have, because they don't have the knowledge. Although they should have the knowledge, because I just feel companies and stuff, this should be part of their HR departments and all these things. Like I remember I had a job once, and the boss was extremely misogynist, and he would say all these like really weird things to the women there. And one of the women complained, and all the employees had to like watch this like a video on how to act appropriately towards women, or sexual conduct in the workplace. So my point is, it's like, if a disabled person isn't getting accommodated, why can't I, this should be an HR problem, I think, in all companies and businesses and government jobs. So that's my opinion on that. Jenny gives me a thumbs up on that, and thank you, Jenny. um,
Yes.
and I don't know, since there's no one here, I'll just do all the, me and Will, we'll
Yeah.
do all the babbling here. But another thing that I found interesting is like, I like what Will you had mentioned before, like, and Marguerite had also mentioned, how do they know what we can or cannot do unless they give us a chance? And um, so people are like, find one method of doing a certain job and they expect every single person to do it that way. But it doesn't mean you can't finish a job efficiently and do it the way that accommodates your body. So that's, that's like that's one of the takeaways from that chapter in Haben's book that I loved was, I mean, maybe a sighted person would have never found that switch. Maybe she found it because she was touching the entire machine, and she, like, because she was blind, she was actually able to find the problem. So, so for me, is it like she shouldn't get the job because she's blind, or maybe she should have the job because she's blind? So that's like the takeaway that I loved from that chapter. So
Yeah, I mean the one.
Jenny.
Oh,
go ahead, Jenny. What were you saying?
Hi, I was just trying to figure out when would be a good time to speak.
Go ahead. You can speak now.
Okay. I didn't want to cut anyone into
No, I just think it's for people, so we're kind of
yeah.
doing it in a more casual way. But go
wanted
ahead.
to concur with you.
Yeah, no, thanks for doing that. I appreciate it.
That I noticed that she that she is using her senses of perception. And so I guess we hear a lot, differently abled, or phrases like that, or different but abled, or even a conversation on, conversation on what disability means and doesn't mean. Because I think that there can be stigma because folks, just the general population doesn't know that when I say I have a disability, that I'm not a, I'm not, I'm not in a vegetative state. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
But folks in general don't know where you fall on the spectrum of that. If they're trying to make up in their mind how are you disabled, or what is your disability, or even
when you go to employer and you disclose your disability, that and I understand why people are afraid to do that, because then what does disability mean to that person? And you don't know what disability. Us as disabled people, when we tell people we're disabled, I mean, I'm in a wheelchair, so obviously people already know I'm disabled because, I'm riding around in a wheelchair. But for people with invisible disabilities, I understand why they wouldn't want to disclose it, because as disabled people, we don't know what image they have of what a disability means to them.
Yeah, and do you think that Haben is considered invisibly disabled? Or does
I think I think it depends. Like, if she's not using her walking cane and they don't immediately you don't really know if someone's blind or deaf immediately just by looking at them. So I feel Haben's probably like in between. I feel like she's invisible sometimes, but not invisible other times, I'm guessing. I don't know. I feel that's
and so I think our abilities are also that is our senses are also invisible. And so it's and I'm actually one of those people who saying invisible disability is kind of archaic for me, because it's more there's more involved than, because invisible implies there has to be a visible component, like literally to do with the eyesight. But I think our abilities are kind of though invisible for the sake of what we understand to mean.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I know Will had something to say. And
Yeah,
I
but
just wrote out a message to Will, like, I just was like writing to you, but then I was like, oh, I didn't have to write this. Never
no,
mind.
but
I'm gonna
no, but
delete.
like I want to read Marguerite what she said in there
You
first
want
to
to read?
acknowledge.
You want to
Yes.
read what she said? Go
Yeah,
ahead, read it.
my training in certain employments, I had not enough experiences. How do they know what we can do, or if giving a chance, what might surprise them of what we're capable of doing or qualified to doing? And the one, and going back to employment, like I've talked with colleagues in the disability community, and in our U.S. Department of Labor, we have the Office of Disability Employment Policy, which has been working on initiatives to end the sheltered workshops. But the problem is that there's not a good relationship between the Office of Disability Employment Policy and the Wage and Hour Division. Um, in our U.S. Department of Labor, that's the one. I mean, problem, and I feel like this is why we had the sheltered workshops for years, because people didn't know that the sheltered workshops were designed to get paid based on productivity of how much that they can do in a certain time period and open up. Like that's how they would get paid for people that aren't understanding. About that. That's why like that sort of happened, and they're and but like if we move away for the sheltered workshops, we don't know how much like or how they were able to transition to competitive integrative employment opportunities with a work schedule, with getting that wage, as well as also getting their Medicaid benefits as well, depending on the amount of hours that they can work with a job and be independent and have the relationships. That's the one issue if you think about what like once we transition in all the states. And right now in our US um House of Representatives, they've reintroduced a bill in the 117th Congress called the Transformative to the Competitive Integrative Employment Act, which is going to be ending subminimum wage for people with disabilities and transition sheltered workshops to allow them to go into competitive and integrative employment opportunities. And now we have to constitute what is going to be that competitive integrative employment. And I want other people to comment on the competitive integrative employment. And Margaret put in the chat 4 hours to 6 hours is the most for like employment over there, which she is referring to. Thank you all.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. I just wanted to finish the other things Marguerite said. She said she used to work for Bally's Fitness Center. Or do they still even exist? That's such an old company. But no, they do not exist anymore. So for anyone, that was like a big fitness chain a long time ago. And she said till they lay off the cleaning crew for less pay. So what were you part of the cleaning crew, Marguerite? And so they laid you off for less pay?
No.
Oh, you have to unmute yourself. I will wait for you to unmute.
I did.
You did. You're in the
Can you
cleaning.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What happened was that they they wanted to keep me and others that were there, but for less money. But came to find out that they hired another cleaning crew. They hired the staff. So they decided to delay me and about five, five or six other people, and I was one of those that was climbing the ladder. I was also part of the warehouse department because I was, was a fast learner, and somebody from the warehouse department was nice. How I was doing it. So they they trained me to become a warehouse helper, and also trained the the, the new staff that was coming in, and so instead of them paying me more, they decided to lay off everybody. And that was my last real job from 2001 to 2004.
Thank you, Marguerite. Yeah, I don't know. That sucked. I mean, that's a lame situation, and I'm sorry that happened. Maybe I shouldn't use that word, but yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened to you, and um, but so I do feel like as disabled people, we definitely do have more rights than we did before the ADA,
Yeah.
obviously. But now I feel the workplace and housing are two areas where we really need to focus disability rights on right now. Does anybody have any comments on that?
Yes, we need to do it, especially especially like we have to make sure that our housing units, that our Section 8 housing are accessible and are able to provide the whole Medicaid um waiver stuff. But right now in our legislature, the one big thing to focus on has been the HCBS Access Act to improve our home and community-based services, because that can determine at times if we're able to do employment from our home or get our benefits.
Yeah, it's true.
And people have to realize too that people are going to become disabled at some point in their life.
Of course they are.
Yeah, but no, no, some people might think it is part of getting old. No, it is not part of getting old. It's the way you take care of your body. And people, people, people always assume that my CP is the same as somebody else's CP. No,
Yeah.
it's different across the board.
Yeah, definitely.
So, so when because I know that my speech is getting worse, but it's stabilized right now. But as I get older, my HCP is getting worse, but I, I, I can stabilize. But I'm getting worse. But eating exercise and take, taking long walks. But speaking, speaking about the housing industry, that has been an ongoing issue in the city of Detroit, Michigan. We 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 have got the worst housing issue because we cannot find accessible housing like right now. I've been asking management about putting a flashing light and flashing light in my bedroom in kitchen slash living room area because my hearing is not that good at night. Even even though Scarlett, my service dog, will alert me when the alarm goes off, but she had her days and I had my days. And I've been fighting with them for the last 5 to 7 years, nothing. I'm done.
Thanks, Marguerite. Um, Let me just clarify because I want to make sure I understood everything you said. So you say that your speech and your hearing are can stabilize and get, is that true? Is that what you were saying?
My speech getting worse, but I can stabilize it
Mm-hmm. Okay.
by keeping myself active and my hearing going down. But I've been asking management to put in a flashing light for the last 5 to 7 years. Nothing yet.
So for the last 5 to 7 years, that's what I didn't understand. What you've been fighting someone? I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
The the management
Oh, the management. Okay.
of my apartment building
Okay, I see.
with a flashing light
Mm-hmm.
because at night I take out my hearing aid.
Right. So you need the flashing lights to know whatever's going on, if there's a fire, or if someone's ringing your doorbell, or whatever you need. I understand now. So you've been fighting with your management for 5 to 7 years to get the accommodations for your housing, for you being deaf, essentially. Yeah. So yeah, these are lots of issues. I mean, I being in a wheelchair, I need accommodations like bathrooms with bars and things like that. And even I was speaking to a family friend of mine who's like, she just turned 80 this year, and she moved into an apartment building, and she has a bad knee. She is essentially disabled at this point because she has arthritis and had to get artificial knees and things like that. So she asked for like a bar to be put in. I see, Jenny, I'll call on you after I'm done. A bar to put in. And when she moved in, they were like, oh, yeah, don't worry, we'll do it. And then she kept asking for it, and they just kind of ignored her after she had signed the lease. And then finally she was like, are you going to put this bar in or what? I really need it. And they were like, well, you going to buy one? If you buy one, we'll put it in. And I just told her, I don't know why they just didn't tell you that to begin with, to go buy the bar and that they would put it in for you, instead of like just making you go through all of that. And, that's why I said, that's why I fight for disability, because eventually all of us are going to need these kinds of accommodations. Even if we're not disabled when we're younger, we will need some kind of accommodation for disability. So I always tell people it's best to fight for it now when you don't need it. And Jenny, I'm going to call on you next because you have raised your hand.
But some people,
Oh, hold on. I know Jenny has raised her hand. I don't know if she heard me because I don't know. But
though,
I guess Jenny, let me know when I think you're in another meeting or something from what I remember. So just let me know when you're ready to speak in the chat if you can, or raise your hand again. I will lower your hand. How do I do that again? I can't remember. Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm going to lower your hand, Jenny. And when you're ready to speak again, please raise your hand and I'll call on you again. Marguerite, were you going to write something in the chat? Okay, cool. Will, did you have anything you wanted to say? Nope. Okay, cool. All right, we're going to patiently wait for Marguerite to write in the chat. And then we will do. Okay, Marguerite. So some people may not know they can require whatever they did prior to signing the lease. Yeah, that's true. Like you could actually acquire a disability after you've signed a lease. So yeah, this idea of accommodations for things like even as simple as a bar, that's just really easy to put in and really inexpensive to have on your property. They're not that expensive to buy. So
I'm,
yeah, I think apartment buildings should have that.
I mean, like especially with these housing people, there's not enough knowledge with them about the Fair Housing Act. But I see that Jenny wants to speak here now. Her hand is
Yeah,
re-raised. She can go
you
ahead.
are correct. Go ahead, Jenny.
she's moving.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she's trying to unmute or something. I'll give her a second. And, just give her a second to see if something's going on there. Because, as I always say, patience is accessibility. Am I right here? Am I right? I know I can get Will and Margaret to agree with me about that. Patience is an accessibility trait that we all need to learn. I don't know. Jenny's not seeming to unmute, so go ahead, Will. And Jenny, I am going to lower your hand. Lower your hand, and when you can speak, or I don't know if you're having trouble unmuting your mic, so I'm not sure what to do, but I'm going to lower your hand, and when you can speak, please raise your hand again. And go ahead, Will.
I mean, part of it. Part of it too. It's because of the accessibility in our housing units. Not enough knowledge of the Fair Housing Act, and in some of these places discriminates at times people with disabilities from finding their own housing. But let's try Jenny again.
Yeah, Jenny. Go, Jenny. Jenny, I'm sorry, I don't mean to pressure you, but I'm just wondering if you're having trouble unmuting your mic or what. I'm not sure what's going on because I would like you to be able to speak.
Oh, Priya, can you unmute her?
Oh, maybe I can unmute her. Hold on. It says, what do I just press? Ask to unmute?
Yep.
Oh, okay. It's not doing anything. I'm pressing the ask to unmute, but nothing's happening. I think it's just asking her to unmute. Oh, Marguerite says, some people may not know. Did I read that? Probably there is. And it's like, I know it hits Calais since 1983. They know it's been in place since 1983. So they should know it. Is that what you, go ahead.
I've been here since
Oh, you've been in there since that. So your landlords or your management of your apartment, they know. They know about what accommodations you need. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, they know. 1983 is a long time ago. So yes, they should know.
They should know.
I know. I agree. I mean, yeah, I can't even imagine. Jenny, are you able to unmute yourself and talk now? Okay, I don't know. Jenny might be having some technical difficulties. I am not sure. But if she is, I apologize.
Probably technical difficulties.
Yeah, maybe she's having some technical difficulties there. But I don't really have much to say, more to say about this. So I don't know what, maybe we should sum up our thoughts. And Jenny, I'm going to lower your hand again because I'm just confused as to when you can talk. So I'm going to lower your hand. And if you can talk, please do raise the hand again so I can let you say what you wanted to say. But I guess in summary, I'll just say disabled people are unrecognized potentials in our community. We can work and we will be good at our work. We will be probably better than a non-disabled person because we want to really do a good job. So, I end this conversation on hire a disabled person. If don't like not hire them because they're disabled. If they have good qualifications and seem like they can do the job just as well as another candidate, why not give them a chance? That's my summary for today. Will, do you want to summarize this? Have a
Let's
summary?
keep we still need to fight to end sub-minimum wage for people with disabilities and find employment that is customized based on our needs. We can't go back to that old saying of the grocery store bagger where some local asks where is John the grocery store bagger? Where is he? How is he doing? Because that's putting down the disability community. We have to go up to him and value John as a member of the employee team, because I am tired of making up these titles that seem useless, like the grocery store baggers.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I mean, because you're saying if a person's disabled and they're working as a grocery store bagger, just call them Joe, not Joe the grocery store bagger. Correct. Yeah, I understand. Okay, cool. Marguerite, any final comments on this conversation about employment?
Yeah. For me, if I was younger, because, because I will be 66 this year. And and I know that age may not be a question, but today's generation means people that are born after the age, please, please take every opportunity that you can and never look back.
Yeah, thanks, Marguerite. That's for the ADA by the way, Haben, I'm stealing a term from Haben. She calls people that were born after the ADA generation. So yeah, I agree with Marguerite. ADA generation, take every opportunity you have and push it forward for ourselves. Don't let yourselves get left behind because people don't understand what disability is. So I agree. So thank you so much. I'm going to actually sign off on YouTube Live here. I'm going to